Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. It's Friday, July 31st. I have a quick video on the shocking fraud report that came out earlier this week. I didn't read it in full until this morning, and it's really incredible the amount of fraud in the hundreds of millions of dollars that went to EIDL advances and loans. Whether you've received anything or not, especially if you've not received anything and you're wondering why you were denied and some of the reasons and where the money went instead of going to you, I'm going to talk about that briefly. I'm also going to talk about how this impacts the new $10,000 full amount proposal that I talked about in yesterday's video, a bill that's getting momentum and has more co-sponsors to basically top up everyone who applied for the EIDL program. This report seriously challenges just topping up everyone because of the fraud that exists, and this is both on the SBA side. There's a bunch of back and forth between the SBA Inspector General and the head of the SBA, and also intentional fraud by people trying to send money overseas or impersonate people. One of the most shocking examples that's in this report I'm going to talk about is romantic relationships where people are extracting personal information to then send to a ringleader to apply for an EIDL advance and loan and getting away with it so far. This is crazy. Let's dive in. Thanks so much for supporting our channel and our mission and subscribing. It really means so much, but not only that, it helps hundreds of thousands of people. Just by watching this video, we're able to share this with more people and get important information out. Many of you have asked, what is HelloSkip? So just share briefly, we're a company that's been around for a few years to help people with government-related information and services. Our goal is to save you time, but also explain things clearly. A lot of what we did in the past has been DMV-related stuff. Obviously, we've expanded a ton into free COVID resources. Again, all of these are free to track your stimulus, unemployment, track your advance or loan, even searching PPP loan recipients. We have the lookup tool, getting daily COVID updates. There's a ton of services. I'm not going to go into all of them, even supporting small businesses. Well, you can find them at helloskip.com/services. And I'll link to this in the description. Feel free to take a look, and I hope some of them help you. Let's dive into this report. It is shocking. This is written by Hannibal Mike War, the Inspector General of the SBA, Tuesday, to the head of the SBA, Ms. Carranza. Here's how it starts out. We have received complaints of more than 5,000 instances of suspected fraud from financial institutions receiving economic injury loan deposits. That's nuts. The majority of those came from only 6 financial institutions. And so assuming that those are some of the big institutions that have advanced fraud detection systems that have found that, hold on, something's not right here. I'm going to talk about some of those reasons they mentioned. 9 institutions reported a combined total of nearly 190 million in suspected fraud. They also had lots of complaints come in on the Inspector General hotline, and around 700 of those complaints right here were about fraud or scams. I'm going to talk about some of those scams. Here's one of the strongest statements here. Our preliminary review, in purple, reveals strong indicators of widespread potential fraud in the program. That's pretty scathing when it comes to how the SBA has handled the responsibility of distributing billions and billions of dollars. Additionally, we have found indications of deficiencies with internal controls. That's what the SBA controls. So it's not just about the scammers, it's about the SBA system, and they give examples related to how they distributed funds, including duplicates. 250 million in economic injury loans and advances were given to potentially ineligible recipients. The way they calculated this is pretty shocking. It's a pretty basic way to calculate it. Many of you know who got advances that there was absolutely no due diligence. They would basically verify some information, but never call you, never email you, and just assume you have the correct information and then wire you $1,000, $2,000, $10,000. To me, that's the biggest area of mistake, where anyone could fish for information, put it down, and then put in their bank account. And that's a lot of what happened here. There's also around 45 million in potentially duplicate payments. Okay, here is the important part. You might be wondering, well, what constitutes suspicious activities or suspected fraud? Okay, they give about 10 examples. I'll highlight a few of them. Accounts established using stolen identities. That's a big one. Account holders unable to explain the origins of deposits or identify the business names. on loans, account holders claiming to use the funds to open a business, account holders attempting to transfer funds into investment accounts or foreign accounts, and a few others related to that, but also the EIDL loans or grants being deposited into personal accounts with no evidence of business activity. In many instances, financial institutions have frozen funds and are trying to contact the appropriate department in the SBA to provide information about the borrower and resolve the frozen funds. Many of you have commented to us that this happened to you. Their SBA was trying to verify information, verify your bank, and chances are if anything was wrong, it's delayed your processing, which I know is incredibly frustrating for you, but it just goes to show you, hopefully, if there is a new form, you can double check the information and make sure everything is correct on the first submission to save you time. Here are some of the shocking examples. So, one here, a London-based international money transfer business claims to have identified 1.9 million in pending SBA deposits being made to accounts to be transferred internationally. So basically people trying to put money in international bank accounts, which of course is a huge red flag. The whole point is to have this money deposited to US businesses and spent in the US as part of the US stimulus, not to be shipped overseas somewhere. Fraud schemes on social media. Here is the interesting one. Various romance scams and social media solicitations persuade people to provide personally identifiable information to get free money. The information is then used to apply for SBA loans or advances, and portions of the proceeds go to the ringleader. Another scheme has companies advertising their ability to secure money and online videos, probably on YouTube. I don't know, I haven't seen any of those, but maybe some of you have, where there are some where you're getting instructions on how to answer certain questions falsely to obtain economic injury loan money. Now here is more criticism of the SBA's handling of funding distribution. The Inspector General's evaluation has revealed SBA had approved more than 250 million loans and advances to potentially ineligible businesses. Now, how did they calculate that? They basically looked at when businesses were established. According to the rules in the CARES Act, they had to be established before January 31st, 2020. In this case, the Inspector General removed all the sole proprietorships, but looked at all the data of people who said they were businesses to make sure they were established before January 31st. A lot of cases, they weren't, and they still got money. I highlighted this here because I'm going to read it. The remaining almost 70,000 loan applicants had registered their business after January 31st and were consequently ineligible. However, SBA approved 6,000 loans totaling $208 million to these ineligible businesses. An additional 20,000 applicants received advance grants totaling almost $50 million. There were also hundreds of duplicate loans given out, and what the Inspector General found is that the SBA does not have effective controls in place to determine if the applicants had previously applied. Here's their conclusion. To address serious problems and deficiencies in internal controls of the EIDL program, we suggest, number one, assess vulnerabilities for the purpose of strengthening or implementing internal controls to address notices of potential fraud. Number two, create an effective process and method for lenders to report suspected fraud to the Office of Disaster Assistance and to recover funds. So number one is basically fix your system. Number two, make it easy for banks to call you up. Banks and lenders are trying to call the SBA, but they're given the runaround, just like many of us were, and not able to actually get anywhere in terms of finding out who to talk to get something fixed or to verify someone's identity. Here is the interesting part, that there's a fight between Hannibal Mike Ware and Ms. Carranza, head of the SBA. She's basically defending all of the processes in place, that it's robust. It's a very defensive letter saying, you didn't even contact us first to learn about our controls, which is a fair point. If you're investigating, you probably want to talk and understand what controls are in place and what gaps were there. I think by and large, the Inspector General just said, look, there's a problem. Clearly, if this stuff happened, the proper protocols weren't in place. So I don't care what you had in place. You need to just do a better job. They also give some more data here on how good their fraud flag system is, and they flagged a lot, and the number of applications they flagged as fraud, which again, I don't doubt. It just seems that there are still some holes which allowed fraud to happen. I'll just give you one example here that even in this report, there is inconsistent language, which wouldn't be a big deal for most types of reports, but this is a report talking about billions of dollars. You'd think they would be consistent with terminology. They use the terminology advanced ineligible compared with those flagged as advanced eligible and quote them here, but then they use different terminology in the actual chart, advanced non-approvals, advanced approved, which takes a minute or two to reconcile because you're looking for the same terminology. It's just a small thing, but it points to the fact that, guys, we expect a bit more rigor in how you communicate this information. Bottom line, Ms. Carranza says that they have a comprehensive, rigorous end-to-end infrastructure. Here's the part at the end where she is asking, hey, guys, talk to us, and almost saying, please, before you issue another scathing report, can we talk? Here she says, SBA wishes to engage with the Inspector General to ensure that the final management alert accurately reflects SBA's strong commitment to safeguarding taxpayer funds. Basically, she wants the Inspector General to understand all the stuff they're doing, which she talks about in the last 3 pages. She also says, hey, can we meet on Monday, July 27th? The interesting thing is this report was issued on July 28th, so if that meeting took place, it still didn't change their opinion of the problems in the EIDL program. So I'm going to link to this in the description too. I hope this was helpful. The bottom line is that because of this fraud report and how scathing it is, if the $10,000 top-up bill is passed, I do anticipate that there will be some verification. It would be nuts if the SBA just says, all right, we trust you, we're going to give out $80 billion and we're not going to do bank verification in another way. We're just going to say, we trust our systems, here you go. I highly doubt that would happen, and I think it would be a terrible move, even if it's only 5 or 10% of people who have wrong bank information or there's duplicate payments. That's still billions of dollars, and that's still taxpayer money. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing. Please leave a comment, of course, if you haven't received anything yet, and this helps you understand that someone else got the money instead of you and you're frustrated by it. Leave a comment. We're with you. And thanks so much again for watching. Please stay well and stay healthy.